Hi there, this is Mr. Evans with a video on temporary and part-time staff. So it's in this section still on managing supply to match demand. So first of all, let's distinguish between full-time and temporary staff. So a part-time member of staff is someone who works fewer than 30 hours a week. Full-time staff tend to work anywhere between 35 hours a week and 40 hours a week. That's what their contract states. That's about 7 or 8 hours for 5 days of the week. Part-time member of staff would work somewhere around 30 or fewer hours a week, but they are permanent members of staff. In other words, they have a contract that says that they're going to work fewer than 30 hours a week, but they could do that all the year round. Whereas a temporary member of staff is somebody who's employed on a short-term basis, often at specific times of the year. So good examples of this would include high street retailers who need some extra staff during November and December to cope with increased demand at Christmas, or potentially employees in a leisure centre when they're putting on those sort of extra summer holiday classes for kids. They might employ some extra workers in order to do that over the summer months. So part-time staff are employed all year round, but on a lower number of hours. Temporary staff may work 40 hours a week for that period of time that they're working, but they're only there for a short time of the year. Nevertheless, these are both very helpful in allowing a business to match supply to demand. Obviously, they can anticipate when busier hours of the day are and employ extra part-time staff at those busier hours of the day, or they may well do temporary staff at particular times of year. So when I was growing up, I worked in a supermarket. I think my hours were something like 5:30 till 7:30 or something like that, about 3 or 4 days of the week, because 5:30 to 7:30 was a really busy time in the supermarket, and they needed some extra staff to help cope with that. During my summer holidays, I did the very glamorous job of salad packing, which is obviously a seasonal job in the UK, because there's only a certain time of year that you can really grow salad. So they needed extra staff to deal with that work in the summer. So, what are the benefits of using part-time and temporary staff? Well, first of all, it gives the business the flexibility it needs to anticipate changes in demand. As I say, extra part-time staff at busier times of the day or the week, and dealing with seasonal fluctuations in demand with the use of temporary staff. Many businesses will recruit particularly temporary staff through an agency, and that saves them a lot of time in terms of having to advertise roles, interview candidates, and vet them themselves. They should be able to trust a recruitment consultant to do that, so they know when they ask for somebody with particular skills, that person will be sent to them, and it's going to save them time. Often, part-time temporary staff have lower pay. I mean, let's be honest, these are often students or people who've got other priorities, like, mothers or fathers of babies who want to have that flexibility. And another benefit is that staff may actually value the flexibility offered by part-time or temporary work. Maybe if somebody has just had a baby, this is a good way for an employer to actually keep that member of staff, rather than that member of staff just quitting. Say, okay, well, we'll give you, part-time hours to keep you here, and then when you're ready, you can come back full-time. and staff value the ability to work on less than a full-time contract. And if a business is using, students and kind of young members of staff on this basis, then it may well give the business access to different skill sets, different perspectives from younger members of staff who are have a different experience of the world to older members of the staff, and they may be able to contribute some really good ideas on how to improve the business. However, there are some disadvantages. First of all, it's going to be very expensive or it can be expensive to do the induction and other training that these young people will need. So I remember my induction training at the supermarket went on for, at least 5 hours, I think, of someone else's time, making sure that I could use the till and do all the other things that I needed. So that can be expensive. If you are using recruitment consultants, their services don't come for free, and they have to be paid. So although you may save time, there is a cost for that. There can be issues around the skill levels of part-time and temporary staff. Particularly if those part-time and temporary staff, this isn't often the career that they will be going into. They're not maybe as incentivised as other members of staff to put in their full effort, and therefore there can be motivational issues, but also they may not do as good a job. There can be quality issues about the work of part-time and temporary staff. Not always, but it's something to be aware of. And finally, 0 hours contracts is something that has materialised really since the global financial crisis of 2008. These are contracts where people are contracted to work 0 hours a week, but the organisation can call them and ask them to come in at any time. Now, this is great for the business because the business obviously gets the flexibility there to say, actually, we don't want you this week, or they can get the member of staff in. Now, there are some groups of people, maybe students, who quite like the 0 hours contracts, but most people think that this is a bad thing for workers' rights and morale. Imagine if you've been because the point is they can call you in at any time, and if you've arranged to do other work, for example, that would be a breach of contract. So there are lots of issues around 0 hours contracts, staff morale and negative publicity. So part-time temporary staff used to help a business match supply to demand.